What Andy McDonald had said, as far as I can see, in his quote, is that all Israelis, all Palestinians, be them Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, have the right of self-determination. And if that is reason to remove the whip, then this is the most evidence we are ever going to need of a hierarchy of racism in our party, and with a hierarchy which puts us, Muslims, rock bottom.
What did you first of all make of the suspension of Andy McDonald? He joined in that chorus of From the River to the Sea, the Palestinian anthem, and he's been suspended. What do you say?
John, if I may, can I just read out word for word what Andy McDonald said at that rally? He said, "We won't rest until we have justice, until all people, Israelis and Palestinians, between the river and the sea, can live in peaceful liberty." Who on earth disagrees with that statement? Who on earth finds that statement inflammatory? In fact, I'm offended by this as a Muslim member of the Labour Party, because clearly it shows that the humanity of Palestinian lives is not seen in equal weight. If I may also refer to the Code of Conduct on Islamophobia, because this has been something that we have spoken about quite strongly, that there is a serious problem of Islamophobia in our own party. And I just want to remind anyone listening, be that from the Labour Party or beyond, that according to our own Code of Conduct of Islamophobia, denying or minimizing the significance of discrimination against Muslims is a violation of the Islamophobia Code of Conduct. Minimizing or justifying the persecution and oppression of Muslims is a violation of Islamophobia. And also denying Muslims the right of self-determination is a violation of Islamophobia. What Andy McDonald had said, as far as I can see, in his quote, is that all Israelis, all Palestinians, be them Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, have the right of self-determination. And if that is reason to remove the whip, then this is the most evidence we are ever going to need of a hierarchy of racism in our party, and with a hierarchy which puts us, Muslims, rock bottom.
What then, Ali, do you read into the fact that Andy McDonald was suspended and his comments were judged to be offensive, to be threatening, to be of that kind of character? What do you make of that decision?
I mean, I will say this to begin with, John. I have faced an enormous amount of Islamophobia myself over the last 14 days, and I'm heartbroken at the fact that there are Jewish kids who felt that they can't wear their blazers in London or across the country for fear of anti-Semitic attacks. And I would not for 1 second be on here in any way advocating anyone who has said something that is anti-Semitic or fearful, presents fear within our communities. But all Andy has called for here is for Israelis and Palestinians to live in liberty in the region. So I am flabbergasted as to how this has caused the whip to be removed. The only thing that I can think of, again, I hope I'm wrong, maybe I'm overreacting, but the only thing that I can think of is clearly in someone's mind, in the whip's office, Palestinian lives should not be living in liberty. And that is of deep, deep human concern.
Well, it will be interesting to hear the Labour leadership's comment. I mean, given the fuller statement that you've given to us now. But meanwhile, what is it, Ali, that you believe Keir Starmer should do and say? He is supporting the idea of a humanitarian pause in the fighting to allow aid to get across the border into Gaza and help those who need it so badly. He's not supporting a ceasefire. What should he say in your view?
He should be calling for a ceasefire. Look, we now have somewhere between 6,000 to 10,000 innocent Palestinian souls who have lost their lives. That's in addition to 1,400 innocent Israeli souls who we are told have also lost their lives, and both are equally tragic. In Gaza alone, we know there are at least 3,000 dead Palestinian children, and humanitarian pauses does not protect the over 1 million children that continue to exist and live in Gaza under bombardment and fire. Yes. And so all I want to see from our Labour leader is to view the life of a Palestinian, a Muslim, a Christian Palestinian in that region equal to that of all other peoples in the world.
And you'll know, Ali, that the leadership of the party has said that individual MPs are perfectly free to call for a ceasefire. It's not the leadership's position, it's not Keir Starmer's position, but they're treating it, if you like, as a matter of personal conscience. Is that not reasonable?
Of course, it's reasonable, but the question is, within the shadow cabinet, does their personal conscience not kick in when you see over 1,000, 2,000 Palestinian children dead under rubble? Is that not a cause for a ceasefire?
Yeah.
When we see hospitals, infants, John, within hospitals where their incubators are switching off because power is being cut, food being denied to innocent Palestinian people. And we must remember 2.2 million people live in Gaza. It's one of the most densely populated areas in the world. These people have had no responsibility to what happened in the heinous attacks on October 7th. And they have no responsibility on what happens over the next 2 weeks or so. Yeah. The reality is the call for a ceasefire is to bring this bloodshed to an end, allow us to get these hostages out and finally reach a political, peaceful solution. That's what a ceasefire is. And by the way,
but you'll also know, Ali, that you've made your point clearly, Ali. Let me just put this to you because our time is limited. You'll understand that. You'll know that the leadership's argument is a ceasefire, as opposed to a pause in the fighting, is indefinite. It would allow space for Hamas to regroup and rearm. It is contrary to the Israeli right of self-defense. I don't suggest that's my argument. I'm not putting my own argument. That's the leadership's argument. What do you say to it?
Well, here's my problem. If the view is that 1 in 20 buildings in Gaza have been leveled, probably more by now, if the view is that 2,000 children being killed in indiscriminate bombings, if the collective punishment of the Palestinian people is part and parcel of going after Hamas, then I would say someone needs to check their moral position. Because I'll use this example, if someone in London had committed the most heinous attack in London, a group had committed the most heinous attack in London, no one in their right moral mind would consider cutting water, power, fuel, and medical supplies.